Alright, so this is sort of going to be my in-depth controller breakdown, and so one of the first things I noticed was that my DualShock 4 was kind of fucking up a little bit. Buttons are kind of mashed together. Currently there's still a bug where it actually displays the Xbox button layout, even though I'm using a DualShock 4. So that might be something that's a dev issue or a me issue. I'm not too sure, because I've had other people say that their DualShock 4 shows button mappings fine, but I know what the Xbox conversions are to PlayStation, so it doesn't hinder my gameplay. And again, it might just be a me issue. I'm fucking something up maybe, but for the most part, there was a couple things that I had to fix, and one of those was the fact that the game has to have a couple things set up for everything to work properly and actually pick up in games. So I had to right click on properties and then hit use default settings, library, Steam, properties, and then controller, use default settings, and then I had to go to settings, controller, and then I had to make sure that the generic controllers was ticked. As far as I'm concerned, Xbox is just plug and play. If you want to support the channel, I officially have the membership button unlocked to get snazzy little badges next to your name, and you also get exclusive emotes and community posts. Peace. Alright, now I'm going to talk about like how fluid controller is in game. So I've got my shit all set up here. The controller feels pretty good. Currently my left analog stick has some issues. That is a me issue, that is my controller just being shit. But for the most part, controller feels pretty good. I'm actually very surprised at how well they've implemented it. The default button scheme feels pretty good. The only thing I'm struggling with is getting used to abilities here. So that is something that I think will take me a little bit of time to get used to. But, yeah, so the controls feel pretty good, especially on ranged. As you can see, rolling and dodging feels very responsive, and I think people that want a controller are going to absolutely love it. The game feels fantastic for it. Again, this game coming to console will also feel pretty good. I've got a couple things that I would like to see improved or added to as quality of life, but from a first implementation of controller, everything feels pretty good. The UI is the first thing I want to mention. People sort of, when they like got a look at it, they were sort of like, yeah, no, this UI is like very low effort, and I kind of have to disagree. I think the UI actually flows very well, and the actual things that need to change actually need to change on PC as well. For example, I hate having to go all the way over here to see what my armor is. This should be next to the weapons and closer to the inventory, but the UI actually works very well. Right analog moves us up and down. One of the other things I want to mention is the button layout shows Xbox. I'm on a DualShock 4. This is again my issue. I think I pointed this out earlier, but for the most part, the UI feels really good. Just pressing options opens up our inventory. We can flick between our different modes here. So if we want to replace an item, so you can actually just hold to equip. That feels pretty good. Again, I do think this UI should be next to the item, but it feels pretty snappy. The right analog navigating the actual main inventory bag feels fantastic. You know, gear sense, that feels pretty good. The only other thing I would like to see be added as a quality of life feature is D-pad or like grid-like navigation with the D-pad for the inventory. So right now you've only got the analog stick, but it does have this sort of like lock-on or like soft lock when you're hovering over stuff, which is nice, but what I would like to see added is the option to navigate this inventory with the D-pad as well. And when it comes to combat, everything feels pretty good, especially as ranged. I haven't tried melee too much. My ping is a little bit too high for kind of forgetting which button is the lock here. That's a me issue. But controller feels really good. I'm gonna be honest, controller feels really fucking good. You don't need to move your camera too much. Because of freeform movement, you can effectively play the game like a MOBA. Like, it literally feels like a top-down RPG almost. And then if we want to turn to the direction we're facing, to the direction our player's facing, we can literally just block. And this feels fucking really good on controller. I'm gonna be honest. This feels really fucking good. If you want to navigate, turn around, this is, in my opinion, actually better than using the right analog stick. It's more precise. So D-pad actions are your left D-pad, or sorry, right D-pad is your mount. Up is quick actions, so this is like music, camp, social, emotes, all that kind of stuff. Down D-pad is the pings, and you can also just quick ping with pressing down. Left D-pad is the social. Holding that actually does proximity chat, which is a nice one. Getting off our mount here, so using left mouse button left bumper, right trigger is our alt. Left mouse button is ability 1, ability 2, right bumper, left bumper, ability 1, right bumper ability 2. Left bumper and right bumper is ability 3, which feels pretty good. I think you would definitely chuck that to a more hard-hitting ability. Left trigger is block, right trigger is attack. Square is interact. So I don't think I can open this chest here. Left analog stick, so L3 is crouch, and holding that down lies down. The right analog stick that's target lock. I've already shown you that. Everything feels pretty good. Triangle is weapon swap, just like Call of Duty games. Circle is dodge, and it feels really fucking good with that directional movement. X is jump, like any other console game. Consumables is you hold your left mouse button, and then you press that button. It actually feels pretty good. I'm kind of impressed about how good it feels. Navigating other aspects of the UI, let's see, so I think it's just X. Yep, so it's just X to simply navigate between things. Let's try and spec something. So again, aside from the fact that my analog stick is completely fucked here, which is a me issue, so if you're noticing that sort of jank when I move upwards sometimes, that's purely a me issue. This, again, I think this could do with a rework. I think this is kind of clunky. It kind of feels a little bit slow. I mean, you could probably get pretty fast at it. So, that took a decent amount of time, much slower than it would on keyboard and mouse. Let's see, what else can we test? We can probably test the attributes here and see how fast this is. Okay, so there is a button for this. That's nice. I didn't notice that the first time around. So let's say we need to hit a certain spec here. We want to hit 350-200. Hit that here. It feels decent. So boom, we can hit 350-250. That didn't take too long. Hitting PvP track item. What else can we do? Achievements. I don't know why we want to go in here, but that feels, again, they've got that right analog movement for up and down. That feels fantastic. Company, navigating everything feels pretty good. Again, I just think the controller feels good. Target lock is only PvE. I need to quickly mention that that's not PvP. Controller and PvP will be interesting. For ranged, it's going to be terrible because you're not going to be able to lead your projectiles. Friction, the aim friction will help you for static targets. When it comes to someone that's strafing, it's going to be very hard to hit on controller. Melee might be doable on controller, but controller is, from my perspective, my point of view, is going to be a PvE and casual experience. It's going to be great for people that want to effectively play the game from their couch, from their bed, and again, great for console. I do think this is a fantastic step in the right direction. I'm not going to be maining this, by the way. I'm a full keyboard and mouse main, but I definitely will occasionally off stream if I want to run some mutations or just lie in bed with my controller plugged in. Alright, now we're going to jump into the advanced controller settings. So there's actually quite a lot to break down, and it's more than I've seen in other games that have controllers for. This is more settings than I think even Call of Duty has for controller, which is kind of impressive. So there's 3 types of, I guess, assist. Okay, so aim assist means that your cursor is sort of magnetism towards the player. Virtual cursor magnetism, so this is the actual for UI elements, so you can adjust how snappy it is in the UI, which is actually really nice that they thought about this. Target lock, so set whether to automatically disable target lock after holding its input for some duration. So again, if you effectively don't want to always be locked on, you can quickly cancel out of it. Dead zones, this is a pretty common setting in a lot of controller games, also games that support controller. Effectively, how quickly the analog stick will respond to movement. Virtual cursor sensitivity, you can change how fast that cursor is in the UI, you can invert the axis. Horizontal, vertical sensitivity, I play on max, I like being fast. Again, you don't really need to even use the right analog stick if you use the block method. This is fantastic that we've got all these settings. We've got even ADS sensitivities, which, by the way, not even keyboard and mouse has, which is kind of fucking stupid. But yeah, so turret sensitivities, I guess you can even manually set your sensitivity when you're in a turret. Again, that's another setting that not even keyboard and mouse has. Edge boost multiplier, I'm assuming this is effectively acceleration, which is, again, some people might like that. I've got that turned off. Turn rate, so I believe that, I guess maybe it's another multiplier on top of that. Aim friction strength, so this is how strong that friction is when you're aiming over targets with your crosshair, so you can set that to whatever you like. There's currently only 2 presets for controller, that being default and melee. Currently I've been using default, I like this one the most. Melee, I believe, yeah, melee just really changes around those abilities to being effectively a combo, so you're always pressing right bumper and and then you press the button, which is kind of interesting. I guess some people might like that. It's nice that they have the option for that. And again, I would assume in future down the line, probably near when console's actually going to drop, they'll also include mapping. I mean, there are ways you can actually do mapping. If you guys know what DS4 is, even Steam, I believe Steam allows you to actually map your binds to whatever you would like. But this is the in-game defaults that they support currently. I think down the bottom here, yep, so you've got enemy target lock speed. I've got this set to 0, very snappy. So those are all your main controller settings. Advanced controller settings that you can mess around with and get a feel for. And again, I think controller feels pretty fantastic. We'll just quickly go up here and I guess kill this guy. I don't see why not. I'm on kind of high pings, that's why I'm kind of taking hits here, but it feels pretty good. It feels pretty good, I can't lie. I like how controller feels. I think it feels pretty fantastic. So yeah, again, this is pretty much the end of the video. Into the advanced settings breakdown. Next video, we're comparing the Nature's Wrath and Attunely the Pants. What is actually better? In that video, I'll also be talking about Creed boots and why they're bad. And the video after that, I'll be covering the Venom Bow Spear setup, which is a build guide for Season 5. After that, there are a couple more build guides, but they're more relative to Season 4, or they're gonna be starting in Season, or they're already in Season 4, but they'll be included in Season 5. So I'll see you guys in those videos that are spread out over the next week. Peace.